Funding for this program is provided by Annenberg CPB to advance excellent teaching.
The single biggest challenge facing schools today is to convince the general public at large that the education and the care of our children cannot be handled by schools alone.
How to fund the schools, whether to use property tax dollars or state dollars, funding is the major issue in Illinois.
We now have about 2,000 more children than we did a couple years ago with the same amount of money.
We have a whole different student population coming from a whole different lifestyle, and we have not changed the way we're doing things. Classrooms are set up pretty much the same way. That's really the big issue.
I think the national goals and whether or not we can meet those national goals by the year 2000 and the expectation that we will, and what happens if they can't be met, who then gets blamed.
By now everyone has heard of the national education goals developed by President Bush and the nation's 50 governors. But public education in the United States is a local enterprise run by more than 15,000 local school districts. What ties these local districts together is the National School Boards Association. Once a year for 4 days, the NSBA meets somewhere, this year in San Francisco. They're here, and so are we. I'm John Merrow. Welcome to Learning Matters.
The production and broadcast of Learning Matters have been made possible by the Lilly Endowment, Incorporated of Indianapolis, Indiana.
What do you see and hear at the annual meeting of the National School Boards Association? First off, people everywhere from all over the country. People moving from one meeting to the next, or standing in small groups making new friends, greeting old ones, or just schmoozing. And buttons and pins, pins and buttons. Everyone seems to be collecting them.
I'm giving her the state of Delaware's blue hen because we're also known as the blue hen state.
That's right.
A school board convention means non-stop activity. Clinics, forums, assemblies, and other sessions begin at 8:30 in the morning and go on into the late afternoon. Before this 4-day meeting is over, there will be a total of 186 of these meetings, including dozens and dozens of clinics on topics ranging from testing to public relations and everything in between.
A lot of teachers have left the classroom to go into sales. They want to be in business for themselves, but they can't because there's no outlet for them.
Most are straightforward lecture, but not always. There are also speeches by prominent educators and debates like this one about the role of business in schooling.
We need to radically restructure American education. And if that is the case, and if you can convince the school boards represented at this conference that that's what's needed, then they need to go and get the economic side of that particular locality, business, involved in this process.
Remember, industrial revolutions don't start as huge enterprises. They start small. But they start because people have tried different ways of doing the same thing. And that's what we're going to be doing.
So you're excited?
Very excited.
Martha?
We hear business saying, these people you're sending us, they don't know anything. They're graduating high school. They don't have the skills we want to bring them into our business. What I'm saying is, though, that instead of saying your product's no good, tell us what you want in our product.
Once a day, board members flock to hear a nationally prominent speaker. One day, Barbara Bush, then former Labor Secretary Elizabeth Dole. Today, it's the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who pleased and stirred the generally conservative school board audience with a rousing pro-education speech.
If one goes to a state university for a year, it would cost less than $10,000. If one goes to a state or federal penitentiary that same year, it would cost between $30,000 and $40,000. Schools at their worst are better than jails at their best. It just seems to me to make more sense to invest in prenatal care, Head Start, and daycare on the front side of life rather than jail care and welfare on the backside. Teachers teach better when they know the parents. Parents are more involved when they know the teachers. Children respond differently when parents and teachers know each other. Parents must pick up their children's test scores. They cannot complain in the 12th grade about their child reading at a 7th grade level. They should have known it in the 8th grade. Teachers, I march with it. You know I love you. But teachers cannot come to school as late as they can, leave as early as they can, while they're there, sit on their can, and expect to produce can-do students. We must teach the 10 Commandments, the ethical, universal, transcendent values, not the denominational dogma, just the transcendent. Thou shalt not steal and kill and lie and rob and rape and honor the Lord thy God and honor thy mother and thy father. Just basic ethical values. They must be taught these lessons.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson, for that message of inspiration, hope, and direction.
When we come back, you'll meet the people who follow the school boards wherever they go.
Well, one of the absolute best learning tools in the whole world are maps. And kids actually enjoy navigating. They enjoy navigating in cars, giving directions. This happens to be a map of Washington. For a child, middle school age years, I would hope that child has the ability and the practice to find his or her own home, living in Washington or Riverside or Santa Fe or San Francisco, and know where father works, mother works, grandparents work, know how to identify where the school is, how to tell where it is also. So it's not just taking direction, it's giving direction. If someone said to you, how do I get to Riverside Drive? Someone at a certain corner. A child needs the practice to be able to answer that question. Could you tell me how to find that school? Could you tell me how to find the grocery store? Could you tell me how to find the bus stop? These are extremely important skills for giving and taking direction. And it's fun, and it's learning, and it's the kind of experience you need to do well.
Wherever school board members go, business is sure to follow because school boards make the buying decisions. Everything from blackboards to buses, curriculum, copiers, computers, security systems, shampoos. It's the school boards that have the money to make those decisions. Nearly 300 businesses have come here to San Francisco to sell to school boards. Right here on this floor, that means there's a whole lot of hustling going on.
We have foam filled tires in the front. And you have the dual hydrostats, direct drive, dual planetary reduction with disc brakes in the exterior. This one here is 66, and that other one is 98. 6600 without the grass catcher. The grass catcher is from 800 to 1,000.
I mean, we make anything you want, actually. It's whatever you actually would like to have, we actually make it.
Okay.
But that's just a small specialty catalog showing some of the items.
Okay.
But anything you want, just give me a call, and I'll send you a catalog.
Okay. Yeah, where are you out of, anyway?
Tulsa.
Tulsa, okay. All righty. Great. Thanks a lot.
Anything you need.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Is there a setup fee?
The setup fee normally is like $30. But depending upon what it is, you may not need a setup fee. Normally, a setup fee is if we're going to do a special mascot or something of that nature. Everything else is normal stock.
Do you have logos that are conditioned?
Now, are we talking about a company or are we talking about a track?
Everybody has a hawk.
So you should not have to pay any additional charges for that.
Great. Thanks
okay,
a lot.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Thank you. Hi, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Fine.
The 300 exhibitors include some surprises, like the National Rifle Association, the Boy Scouts, and the National Asthma Education Association. The exhibit hall is open 4 hours a day for 3 days. That's 3 days of noise, free gifts, glad handing and backslapping, buttons, and more free gifts. Salespeople have to compete for attention. Since souvenirs are not even a dime a dozen, they're free, the salespeople have to have a gimmick.
26,000 buses on the road every day with 1 million kids. That's a lot of kids every day out there.
Sometimes making a sale requires taking a chance.
You want me to really try to go down that slide? You feel okay about it? All right. It's fast, too. I'm going to kill myself.
Great.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's all solid state. It has memory in it, so if it gets accidentally unplugged, you won't lose the score or the time remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my high privilege and honor to introduce the President of the United States and Mrs. Reagan.
I hit the timer now. That was my end, okay? I click on. I've just edited that clip for Lee Iacocca's speech. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click that unit on, and it's going to tell me what disc it's on now.
The Tandy Corporation figured out how to attract and hold a crowd, hire a magician.
The two of hearts. I didn't say that was your card, but it is the two of hearts. You get to cut the deck. Thanks very much. Now, after all that mixing, I'm not sure where Carol's card lies, but if I'm lucky, right here on top, the Jack of Spades, your lucky card. Was that it? If you say Tandy, it changes the card at the fingertips to the two of spades. Did I get lucky the second time? If you say Tandy, it changes right back to the Jack of Spades. Carol, go ahead and grab another one if you would. Show it around to everybody. Hold it to the camera there. Now, you see, people are drawn again and again to the power and value they've been finding at Tandy Radio Shack. If you keep your eye on this deuce, there's no way I can use sleight of hand. I'll take the cards out of my hands. I can't use misdirection or distraction. You see it going in the pack. But if you remember Tandy first when you think hardware and software, you'll always come out on top, along with your students, of course. And by the way, my handkerchief proves that's a permanent mark on the card. Are there any questions so far?
The giants, IBM, Apple, Coca-Cola, Encyclopedia Britannica, were here, of course, but there were also some Davids among the Goliaths.
This is one of our most interesting pieces, the Swedish Gem Obstacle Course or Circuit Training Course. Kids can walk the balance beam, turn around and hand walk stiff arm through the parallel bars, crawl in through the windows, over the low bar, and then hand over hand under the overhand bar. And it's not expensive either.
There were even dueling pianos. We'll be back with more from the National School Boards Convention in San Francisco in just a minute.
Job skills start at home. Now, what are some of these job skills that people need? One of them is thinking, and to be able to think and to be able to estimate, to be able to what they call hypothesize, and make your best guess on a job. Well, one of the ways you teach that is, I often use measuring sticks, tape measures, and I usually ask questions like, how far do you think it is across this room? How far do you think it is to the corner? How far do you think it is to the library?
So you might say, do you think the refrigerator would fit through that door?
Right, and well, I might say yes, but then when I go to measure it, I might find out it doesn't. Or how many customers do you think we need in order to make this newspaper or newsletter sell? And you've got to be able to then go out and estimate. You use calculators, you use computers, and et cetera. But all of that really starts with problem-solving exercises at home.
What age children are you talking about?
I'm in middle school age years, juniors, high school as well, and for many kids, high school years too. I mean, we're talking about adult needed skills. Skills that you need on a job. Skills that you need in graduate school or college. Skills that you need in order to make it in the world. It all starts at home.
The national goals for schools to meet by the year 2000 were on the minds of many school board members at the convention in San Francisco. One afternoon, dozens of board members testified on their state's efforts to meet the 6 goals, which include early readiness for school and regular testing. Governor Roy Romer of Colorado conducted the hearing.
I just cannot believe that we all have to invent the wheel alone. You know, it seems to me there's a way we can benefit from, it seems 8 of you states ought to go off and work on math in the 4th grade, and 8 ought to go off and work in math on the 8th grade in terms of assessment, and share some of the experience. We have a real need to do better assessment.
Education is a serious business. After all, the lives of our children are at stake. And thousands of the country's leading educators are here to address the serious issues facing American education. Let's have a look. One highlight of every NSBA convention is what's called, not particularly accurately it would seem, the Education Excellence Fair. There are a few educational exhibits, but it's really an excuse for a carnival, a family party with performing birds.
What about that one?
Acrobats. And even a fire eater.
All the way down. Holy moly! How about a big cat for Lisa?
The popcorn is free, and so are the games. The NSBA convention features other entertainment, headliners like Kenny Rogers, Jay Leno, Dick Clark, the Shirelles, but nothing quite as folksy as the Education Excellence Fair. A huge convention like this one is more than clowns and clinics, speeches and games. It's also big business. For San Francisco's tourist industry, it means millions of dollars. NSBA fills several hotels and virtually the entire Moscone Convention Center. The meeting is also critical to the fiscal health of the NSBA itself. Convention receipts from delegates, guests, and exhibitors provide roughly 1/3 of NSBA's annual budget of nearly $16 million. In all, 19,500 people, NSBA staff, the press, exhibitors, school board members, and their families are in attendance here. Many board members bring their spouses and children. The convention is always held in a city with tourist appeal. Last year, New Orleans. Next year, Orlando, Florida. And then there's the business of the National Association itself and its component groups, urban school boards, rural school boards, school attorneys, and the technology network. The main business is conducted at the Delegate Assembly, which votes on national policy and elects officers. Even these sessions are conducted with a light touch by President Martha Fricke.
Come in and vote, raise your frisbee.
Other votes, however, are by secret ballot. Voting and counting votes take up time, which delegates fill by talking about issues or about buttons and pins.
Yes, these buttons came from each state and some organizations across the United States, and these are friends of mine that have given them to me, and this is kind of my last hurrah, and I've collected them for 6 years. And my daughter probably has close to over, say, 1,500 or 2,000 of them. It's going to hold up.
James Oglesby is last year's NSBA president.
The value of this meeting is you can't calculate all of the values of it. Let me just run through a few of them for you. First of all, we have people here that have never been to a professional meeting on boardsmanship. They don't know what their role is. You know, we don't have a board member training session for school board persons or individuals that want to be a school board member. They just come in, and everybody assumes because they went to school one day that they know how to run and make policy for school. That's not so. This is the University of Boardsmanship. That's what this is. We have individuals that come in, and we provide an array of professional opportunities. But that's not all. They get a chance to vision and to collaborate and work with other individuals to find out that other school districts have funding problems. Other school districts have crowded classrooms. Other school districts do not have access to good administrators, good teachers, because they can't afford them. Other school districts are having financial problems. So they get a chance to talk to individuals, to broaden their visions, and to network to get information about things that they need to know about to help them do their job better in their local community. We have no other way to get the information out to the local community than through this college or university of boardsmanship.
I asked former NSBA President Oglesby whether public schools need more money.
I don't want to limit it to money. I think we need more resources. We need a lot of time of individuals also, in addition to the money. You see, I'm not sure that we know how much money we need. We know how much money it costs to build a car, how much to build a computer, how much John Merrow's worth, but we don't know how much it costs to educate a child. We spent what was necessary to take care of Desert Storm. Now we need to spend whatever is necessary to take care of the children of this nation.
Is it possible, I wondered, that all the good times detract from the business of the convention?
Even with the good times, there is some serious learning, because one of the things that we try to do, and any time that I've ever been in a group of 3 or more board members, or 2 or more, there's always talk about school board, because everybody believes that's why they're here. And even during the good times, they're talking about school boards. You can't get this crowd together without them talking something about school boards and children and what their role is.
We decided to test Jim Oglesby's assertion by eavesdropping.
Ben and Mac are patching it at home, so they'll be okay. They'll be glad to get you back. Our conversation is being recorded, so I guess we should be professional and businesslike. You can't do that.
When you get back, you got to work on legislation constantly. Actually, for the state, we better get busy on getting that business tax through. If we get the business tax through, we'll have enough money for the state of Nevada next year. Should have enough for going 15-1 for second grade like we did in first grade this year.
Well, then you got to go to third grade the following year.
We can't leave San Francisco in this convention without meeting the button and pin champion.
One of the things we notice is that our badges get very, very heavy when we put on all of our pins. And not only that, we like to share with everyone what has been shared with us for the past 3 years. So I thought about putting it on a hat, so I picked out my favorite badges. And I picked out this hat because it has little worry people on the front. And we school board members need worry people to worry for us so that we can go about doing the business of school board members. It's a little heavy to wear all the time, and it does interfere with my hairdo most of the time, so I usually keep it sitting on the table, but it's been a good idea.
Will you put it on?
Sure, I'll be happy to. There, how's that?
Well, that's it. The annual meeting of the National School Boards Association is history. Hope you've enjoyed it. I have. For Learning Matters, I'm John Merrow. Thanks for being with us. See you next time.
To find out more about this program, visit us at PBS Online at the internet address on your screen.
The production and broadcast of Learning Matters have been made possible by the Lilly Endowment, Incorporated of Indianapolis, Indiana.
In all truth, I only recently learned how to change a tire. And somebody should have taught me that a long time ago. I would have felt better about myself. I would have felt more in control. If this car needs a new tire, I'll know how to do it. So I call that part of making free time pay off. And I think kids at the middle school age years would get a kick out of learning it. They may never have to change a tire for years. They'd get a kick out of learning it. They'd get more control and be able to then say, I can do things. I can do things in my free time that I know will pay off, not just in case I become a garage mechanic in later years. That isn't the point. The point is to have a sense of being able to take care of yourself. And that carries over into schoolwork, and it carries over onto the job later. You need to have a sense of what to do in case something happens that isn't so terrific. So a flat tire is not so terrific. You need to know, I can do it. And when you know that you can do it, and you've had practice doing it, you can go on and do a lot of other things too.
was fun.
Funding for this program is provided by Annenberg CPB to advance excellent teaching. For information about this and other Annenberg CPB programs, call 1-800-LEARNER and visit us at www.learner.org.